Hello, everyone. It's Jennifer Williams with Coldwell Banker Gold Coast and podcast host of Luxe Life. And today we are sitting at our office at the Gold Coast, 676 North Michigan Avenue, Suite 3010. And I have the pleasure of
having Lars Skarford as a guest here in person
in
for the
person.
for the very first
Yes,
time.
very first time we are in person. And this is, I don't know, we're going to have to do this more often. I like this.
Yeah, it's fun to be returning into in-person things and getting together and having that natural back and forth.
Yes, I completely agree. And that's why stick around and stay tuned because this episode is going to be fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to be on. I'm excited that you asked me to be on, and I'm excited for the topics we're going to cover today.
Perfect. So, what's your specialty?
Oh, well, yeah. So my specialty, primarily I work with first-time home buyers, people, that are either relocating to here to Chicago or young professionals here in the area that are looking to buy their first home and they're just looking for some guidance through the process.
Nice. That's wonderful because first-time home buyers, I don't think that they get as much love as they should. We do this every day. You and I, this is our job. This is what we do. And sometimes we step over the little details to and it takes a lender such as yourself to have that guidance.
And a realtor such as yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Where oftentimes, we get so caught up in our language that we're using every day that sometimes we forget not everybody speaks that language every day. So it's really important to think about it from their perspective so that you're explaining it,
Yeah.
so that they can understand it.
And then also to educate, think about when you were 10 years old, did you know how to buy a house?
No, I didn't even know what a bank account was.
I mean, I started thinking about that the other day. Like if we're a first-time home buyer, or when we were first-time home buyers, we had no idea. And there's also, I'm finding as well, and I'm sure you do too, there's so many programs that are available and out there for the first-time home buyer and that people aren't aware of. So what do we have that we can offer to our first-time home buyers?
Oh, I'm so grateful you asked because boy, do we have some exciting programs. And some are new, some have been around for a while, and some are available again. They were taken off the table during the pandemic, mostly because of all the federal stimulus that was pushed into the economy. They didn't have funds allocated for this specific program. So for those of you that are not familiar, that program is through IDA. That's Illinois Housing Department Authority. Not all lenders are able to offer this program. Yes, but those that have gone through a rigorous training and understand the ins and the outs of the guidelines for these programs are able to offer their clients free, I'm putting air quotes around that, money to help with down payment and closing costs. So you can get upwards of $10,000
That's
to help you. It's huge. I
huge.
know, it's totally huge. Of course, nothing in life is free, but the guidelines that I can kind of walk through some of them
Sure.
will help people understand and be informed about how to leverage and utilize those funds to help reduce the amount of cash they need at the closing table.
So it takes the thought of home ownership and makes it even closer for some of those people thinking, I have to have 20% down back in the day to be conventional, to really get a loan, to get your foot in the door of a home, 20%.
Yeah, and
It's not realistic for
it's
everyone.
just not as realistic anymore. Not everybody has the parents that can gift funds, but for those of you that do, that doesn't mean you can't use those funds because those are allowed. The main requirement, and I'm going to blow your mind here, is you have to have 1% of your own funds. That's it. 1%.
That's all?
That's it.
No, so how do you track the 1%? Like with I have it in my savings account, you have to make sure it's in that savings account for so long, right?
Yes. So what we're looking at is over the course of 2 months, did you
Okay.
have that 1% that's needed? Then the other funds can come from this grant that is forgiven
Uh,
of free money.
of free money.
So yeah, so if
So,
you're thinking a $200,000 purchase, 3% is the actual requirement,
sure.
but you can use the gift funds or the grant funds
Sure.
through this IDA program to offset the amount that you have to bring to the table, and all you have to bring is that 1%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So really, why I understand why people are still renting, but this makes homeownership even more affordable for so many people. And that's what helps to build equity and helps to build generational wealth and keeps things going.
Yeah, and so many people don't actually know that this is out there, and that's why we're trying to spread it to your listeners and your
Yeah.
viewers and let them know about it. So this is an Illinois specific program.
Okay.
Other states do have theirs. This is not a federal thing, but it is tracked here in Illinois, and I can go into as much detail or as little detail as you'd like, but it's very exciting, and we just want more people to know about it so that their homeownership
Yeah.
and that dream can become a reality for more people.
That's fantastic. Now, are there specific, Cook County, Will County, different things with those counties as well?
Yes, so this is in Illinois, the whole state program.
Okay.
However, each county has its own guidelines, and that's where you get an
Nice.
expert who does know all of the guidelines for each of the counties. So we have a chart that we follow along, and it outlines every single county,
Sure.
every single guideline, every single income requirement, all of
Sure.
those things. There are maximums that you can earn as a borrower because they don't want the wealthy taking advantage of this program, but
Right.
it is available to those that need it.
That need it, so then that way they can have that dream of homeownership. That's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
that really, I think that really is a game changer and sets it so we're here, because if you're renting us one spot and you are relocating to another spot, you have to have this first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. That's your 1% right there in most cases, if not more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hope your listeners are thinking about the idea of your monthly mortgage payment can oftentimes be the same or less than your rental payment. So all you need to do is save 1 month of rent, and you can essentially become a homeowner with this program.
And because some people, oh, I don't want to pay a mortgage. Well, you're paying somebody's mortgage. So, and you're paying somebody's property taxes. Well, why not do it for yourself
Exactly.
and benefit on your own, benefit you,
Yeah.
not make someone else, wealthy in real estate.
Yeah, people are talking, the buzzword is, the interest rates, which they have gone up, starting last year as they inevitably were going to.
Sure.
But when you're paying somebody's rent, you're paying 100% interest.
Yes, yes. And that money is not working for you at all.
Precisely. It's not building you that equity.
It's open the window, throw it out,
Yep.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And you will never have a return on it. Where you purchase a home, especially using one of these grants and doing something like this, down the road, it's your retirement. So you don't have a retirement, you don't have anything saved because the market is going to continue to increase regardless. They're not making land anymore, right? That's the phrase, not making land anymore. So you have something that is always going to be worth it. You have a tangible asset, if you will.
Yeah. And you're paying yourself essentially.
Yeah.
And there's a great book out there, Pay Yourself First. So I
Sure.
definitely recommend looking that up.
Nice. And so if anybody has any questions too, they can always get a hold of you through email, phone number, your phone, social media as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the name is Lars Skarford, Lars. My last name Skarford. You can reach me at lars.skarford@grarate.com or on my cell 314-952-7048.
And we're going to make sure we have all of that information in all of our descriptions. So whether you're coming out of college, whether you're first time home buyer, are there any other restrictions to this?
So you actually do not technically have to be a first time home buyer, which is also mind blowing.
Really?
Yes, they allow you cannot have two of these loans out at the same time, but you do not have to be a first time home buyer, and it does not have to be a first time use. I know.
That was going to be my next question, was how many times can you use this program?
Unlimited. You just cannot have more than one at a time.
Sure, makes sense. So you can't think, okay, I'm going to now be an investment, buy investment properties and use this back to back at the same time. Okay, but still, it's a win-win situation.
Yep.
There's little paperwork, quick turnaround on the information, same information you're going to give you for a conventional loan, which, let's talk about that too, because we're talking, the first time home buyer centric. What should a first time home buyer expect to bring in? They call, they find, we find we get ready to look for the perfect house. And I say, you got to give Lars a call. He's going to tell you exactly what you need to bring. So what are they going to expect to have to provide to you so we can get the pre-approval letter so then I can go show them homes?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's easier than you may think. The main question I always start with is, how are you being paid? Are you salaried? Are you hourly? Or are you commission based? And depending on your answer to that will drastically change the amount of paperwork that's needed to get you pre-approved. So if you're W-2'd, all I need is your W-2, surprise, surprise, and a pay stub, and that's it.
No bank statements.
So the bank
beginning?
statements are not needed in the beginning. You can self-report how much money you have on hand at that time.
Sure.
Because the thought process there is, I'm just going to need updated bank statements once you're under contract anyway. So just tell me how much you have. If you don't know, maybe you should give me that bank statement.
Right. Well, if you don't know, we've got a few more questions we have to take.
For sure. But we're here to guide you through the whole process.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's, so it really kind of takes that sense of apprehension. So many people like, oh my gosh, I have to turn over all this, because once again, if you're a first time home buyer, you've never done this ever. You have no idea.
Yeah, and having gone through that process, myself, several years ago, I now understand from the client's perspective what it's like, what it feels like to actually go through that. Like, I don't know what's needed, and I don't know what the processes look like. And so what I do is right after the get-go, I put a roadmap out, and I say, here are the steps of the process. Here's what you can expect each step of the way. And it puts them at ease, because our number one fear is, the fear of the unknown. And public speaking. And we're getting over that one right now.
Literally trying to actually, this is actually better than the way we've been recording. So I think this is great.
Yeah.
We might have to do on site all the time now instead of recording it.
Absolutely.
So wow, that is, so you have a roadmap. Part of what would they say? You have to have a plan in order to have success, because that's what we want. We want the homeowner to start out. They're nervous. They don't know. You don't know till you know. But in maybe the last time their parents or whoever it is that's significant in their life has bought a house 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years, whatever. It's changed and evolved even in just the last few years. With electronic signatures, we can do that as well. There's so much. And what else can we expect? We talked about, the process of pre-approval. Let's walk through a little bit the steps. We find them the house. Okay. We get that perfect house. We're going through these programs. Let's take a second and walk through the steps from we find them the perfect house. We get them under contract. I get you the copy of the
purchase contract.
Thank you. Purchase contract. I want to make sure I said it correct. The purchase contract with all the disclosures, all signed and initialed. I get that to you. Now what?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's the most fun part for me, being in the industry, where I get to take that contract and I get to say, here's where we go from here. Because you've made that commitment. Everybody has agreed this is the terms that we're going to be moving forward with. So the main thing that we need to decide up front is, what loan product are we going to get you into? So that's where we go through the IDA program. We go through the conventional loan program, and we go through the government programs as well. So if you're a VA, a veteran, we have the VA loan, which is another incredible resource that doesn't get talked about enough, where we can dedicate an entire podcast for that one.
I do think we should, because to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, we've done all these other podcast episodes, but we've not done VA or FHA.
Yeah, so my father was a veteran, so It's a little near and dear to my heart.
So stay tuned for another episode with Lars, because we're going to talk about the VA on another episode. That's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the incentives for that are incredible, but we'll this is just a teaser. We'll get to that.
Let's do that on a whole nother episode. I think that'd be good.
Absolutely. But yeah, so deciding that loan program is the first step, and it's pivotal because you need to know how much you're putting down, which grant you're going to be eligible for,
Sure.
Or which conventional program. And there's benefits to each of them. Each of them has different rates. Each of them has different down payment requirements. So, you leave it to the professional who is able to determine what fits your scenario,
Sure.
and then you can decide what's best for you. So then you're under contract, and you have to schedule the normal inspection process. I mean,
Sure.
that's
Home
yeah.
inspection.
Yep.
We have typically 5 business days for the home inspection. Because again, we're talking about first time home buyers, not talking about an investor who sometimes will waive those. Go through the home inspection, we get everybody's clear. Everybody signs off on it. Once it continue moving forward, the buyer's lawyer, attorneys, the seller's attorneys, everybody says we're good to go.
Yeah, and that's here in Illinois. So we do use attorneys here in Illinois. If you move to our northern state, Wisconsin, they do not use attorneys, and that's a whole nother ball game
And
up there.
typically in Indiana, they don't.
Yes.
There are other states. Illinois, we do use our attorneys, but you're right, other states do not.
Yeah, but I do
As much.
appreciate them. Correct. Yeah, I do appreciate them, and as I always say, it's best $500 you'll spend just
Absolutely,
navigating that.
hands down. Some people with the not that the title companies don't do their job, but they're not attorneys.
Correct.
And it's best to do that.
Correct. So then the next step is that underwriting. So we on the loan side are taking those documents provided by the client, plus the loan program, and putting it into underwriting. It's not this mythical land of underwriting. It's actually someone who receives the file, looks at the guidelines of the program to confirm you meet all those requirements on whichever program we select, and then they issue that approval. So we talked about the pre-approval in the beginning.
Right.
That's pre, as in before, where they haven't actually been fully approved. And we could delve into that in another podcast, because we do have a program where we actually underwrite the file before going under contract.
Sure.
So it's not a pre-approval; it's an actual approval.
It's a hard approval where you could
Exactly.
close in
7 days.
What?
Yes.
Okay, that's a whole nother. So now we've got VA. All right. Okay.
Yes, that's called our fast track power bid. And yeah, I got it clear to close in 48 hours.
In 48 hours?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. It was the fastest one I've ever seen, and we could have closed in 7 days, but the sellers they hadn't actually packed up yet, so they needed time to pack up and get out. Otherwise, we could have closed
for
in a
sure
week.
That you have that
Yep.
that ability as a buyer, you have that strength that sets you so far apart than even a cash buyer.
Right.
At that point.
Exactly.
And now we're going off on okay, so that's a whole nother note to self, whole nother podcast. All right, whole nother episode. So all right, so we have you've got the hard pre-approval process.
Yep.
That's when we'll have to start looking at bank statements.
Yep.
And really dive into the file before we can get it clear to close.
Exactly.
Homeowners insurance, escrow. Typically people put their homeowners insurance escrow into property taxes into escrow, which is also, but that's established at the closing typically, right? Yep.
So what we do is we say, do you want to set up that escrow? You have to put 20% down to actually choose not to put your funds in escrow.
Sure.
Which you then have a choice. But if you do put your taxes and insurance into escrow, then we work with the title company to coordinate setting up that escrow, making sure taxes are paid, and then making sure the insurance bill has enough funds in the escrow to pay it when it comes due.
So all you have to really worry about is making your payment, your monthly payment, and then the taxes are taken care of by someone else. you still can monitor it, you still get a statement, but it's kind of automatic.
Yep.
You just worry about making that mortgage
Monthly
payment.
Yep.
So we've gone through the process, we've got then we have the clear to close.
Yep. So after the approval and you've gotten all the conditions cleared, then you got the clear to close. So typically when we pop the bottle of champagne, and then all we have to do is schedule the closing, make sure all the funds are there and documents are there, and then we're at the closing table, and then we actually do pop the champagne.
That, which is great. And sometimes depending on let's go to some people will have to have money to put down, earnest money to put down. We will have our earnest money, and then we'll also have, if it's 1% and our earnest money doesn't cover their 1%, the cashier's check they can bring to the closing.
Yep. So in Illinois, up to 50,000, they're able to bring a cashier's check to the closing table.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if it's over 50,000, then they have to schedule that wire.
They have to schedule a wire, and then at that point, we're talking a whole different program, which can probably be a whole other episode.
Tune in for the next year. We'll be here covering topics.
We're just gonna keep rolling and rolling and rolling here. As long as the lights are on, we'll be okay. Somebody can feed us. I mean, is there anything we're missing? Anything that you can think of is from the first-time homebuyer perspective, or you as the lender working with first-time homebuyers? Anything you can think of?
Yeah, so we had talked briefly about the title company. So it's interesting, having gone through the first time buying a home, I didn't know what title insurance was or why we needed it. So the main thing that title is doing, other than facilitating the close and receiving and sending all of the funds, is that they're actually ensuring that you're receiving the property free of all liens and encumbrances when you take possession of the property.
Sure. Then that way, for sure you own that piece of property. You own that home. If something happened prior to the issuance of the title policy, well, that's why you have title insurance. So that's why we go to
Yes, and I've seen it used before. So rest assured, it is useful and handy to have.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
that would be unbelievable. Well, that's great. I mean, like I said, now we've got 4 or 5 more episodes we're gonna have to record. So I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I'll be back as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it is. And we bumped into each other. It was we met at a networking event.
We did.
So that's why I'm always get out. You never know who you're going to meet. And look, here we are sitting here. Go ahead and one more time. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can reach me by email, phone. I also receive texts. My email is Lars, Lars, Skarford, Skarford, @grarate.com. And my cell is 314-952-7048.
Perfect. So if you like what Lars had to say and you're looking forward to homeownership, seeing what affordable housing is out there for you, be sure to give us a call. I'm Jennifer Williams. I am the podcast host of Luxe Life and Coldwell Banker Gold Coast real estate agent. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in.